With the MP Bros, the MP Bros, the MP Bros, the MP Bros. Learn something.
And we are live. You know what we need, Mike? We need that MP Bro song for us to hear.
I know.
When it's coming on, we could be like vibing to it. It ended up being so good, man. We love that.
I love it.
How you doing today, my brother?
Excellent, man. Can't have a bad day. You know me, man. How about you?
We cannot have a bad day. Before the conversation started, I'm like, I'm feeling raspy. I can't talk. He's you sound great.
You do.
So here we are. We're gonna record episode number 7 already. This is going into 2 months now of the MP Bros podcast. I hope that you guys are all enjoying it. We're looking to grow this bad boy. Honestly, it doesn't matter if you're with us, if you're not with us, if you're not in insurance or you're looking to get an insurance, give it a like, give it a follow, participate, drop some comments, because the more that we can engage and the more that we know what you guys want to hear, the more that we can talk about. Because Mike and I, we can talk. We ain't got a problem talking. We just want to talk things that matter to you. Right? So what are we going into today, Mikey?
So sales 101, right? Tips, tricks, and techniques, man. And that's kind of what's cool about what you were just saying. We're like, whether you're with us or you're in insurance or whatever, today is going to be beneficial for anyone in sales in any industry. Now, obviously, there's always going to be an insurance focus because that's what we do and that's what we love. But this is going to be for anyone. So if you guys know someone who's in sales, new to sales, trying a new industry in sales, not achieving what they want to achieve in sales, send them this. Hopefully it'll be helpful. And again, the more people we can help, that's why we do what we do.
Yes. Let's get into this right here. I was watching somebody that you always bring up to me, Jeremy Milner, right?
Mm-hmm. Minor.
Jeremy Minor, my bad. Jeremy is amazing. And on our conversation that we were having last week, we talked about it's not magic, it's volume, right? And he says, you know what? Yeah, volume's 100% going to help you, but there is some techniques that we can kind of work on to help you be able to. And after sitting there and listening to the show over us, I'm like editing and doing things for it. I was like, yeah, we definitely have to have volume. Like for myself, no matter what, I want to have 30 to 40 fresh leads to be able to dial per dial session. That's going to be where my volume is going to come in. And from that, I'm going to get my 12 to 18 appointments per day that I need to be able to establish my sales. But there is a little bit of magic that goes into it. And when I say magic, Mike, magic, Mike.
Nice.
That was not on purpose. When I say magic, I don't mean the glitziness of it. It's more of the system that we follow and how well you follow that system. So let's start talking about that system and that magic, if we would, on the appointment setting. Because my brother, you touched base on that impromptu phone role playing. The impromptu role playing with it
Put
last
me on the
week.
spot, man.
How did that just happen? But you killed it, But there are certain things that you make sure you do. Like you make sure that you have your volume of leads. You make sure that there's like Will Smith and In Pursuit of Happiness, with the rubber band tied and no more than 2 to 3 seconds between phone calls. So that's all part of the tricks and the tips that are into it. But you do such a great job with tonality and such an importance to it that I don't think I even realize how much of a game changer having that perfect tone is every single time. Can you speak on that a little bit, or am I being too broad?
No, it's not. Tone is actually incredibly specific. And, it's kind of two-tiered, though, because I think tone and pace go hand in hand, right? Because if you're talking super fast, if your pace is too quick, your tone is going to be impacted, right? They both need to be controlled. My approach to tone, and again, this is just what works for me because it's what feels authentic. And that's really what I think tone comes down to, is it needs to be authentic to you, right? That's what people are connected to, is authenticity. So tone for me is very it's casual but professional. Now, what I mean when I say that is I'm serious in my tone. We're talking about insurance, life and death stuff, so it's a serious topic. But at the same time, I still use my normal language. I'm not trying to act like I have some crazy vocabulary and using these words that I need to have a thesaurus next to me for. I'm speaking in the same way that I talk to anyone, but I just have a little bit of a more professional tone. So the voice inflection is key, right? Even little things like there's a difference in how it's received between how are you versus how are you, right? Those are received differently. And so that energy is going to be felt over the phone. And so how you choose your tonality and your voice inflection will impact the way that they are receiving you. And I'll tell you the most important thing for me, and I was just talking to one of my partners about this, smiling and dialing, man. You can hear when someone is smiling on the phone. You can hear it. And so people like that kind of stuff. Now, again, you have to be aware of it, but smiling and dialing, having a professional tone, but not changing the words that I use, that's what's authentic to me. Right. But you said 20 appointments a day, man. What do you do for tone? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we're going to get into that. All right. We're going to talk about those 20 appointments and the tonality behind it. So out of listening to the trainings, which we have so much training, it's a beautiful thing. But one thing that's cool about our training is that it's consistent, right? It might be a different voice and there might be a slight small change with how they do it, but we're all following that system and we're all staying within it. So as long as you do that, you truly can't mess this up, right? Yeah. The way that you mess it up is just completely like not having confidence. That's the biggest thing. And confidence comes along with tonality. And then pace might be able to throw you off a little bit. So what I like to do when I call somebody, we'll call him John Smith, right? Right now, from what Mike told me how he does it, Mike likes to say, hey, I'm calling you about your loan with this bank for this amount at this location. Boom, boom, boom. Fact.
Instant credibility.
Right? Credibility right away. So like, yeah, this guy knows exactly where I live, how much I owe, and what bank I did it with. He knows how to find me. But I was like, all right, it's taking me a little bit too long, or I feel like maybe I'm wrong, right? I feel like it's just getting me too much time for me to go and through all three of those things. And so I cut it down a little bit to like, hey, John, my name's Luis. I'm calling you about your loan with Bank of America for your property on Maple Drive. How are you today? Right into it, right? So I cut out the numbers for the house and I just bank, street, straight into how are you today? Oh, you know what I even like saying better is, hey, how's your morning going so far? It's early. They're like, I'm just waking up. Pipe down with that energy. I was like, well, let me make it quick for you.
I like, how's it going? Right? How's it going for me? It's casual. Again, it's authentic and it's less salesy. Like Jeremy Miner, we were just talking about that. He talks about how most salespeople will lower their status with their prospects off the bat with like these common sales. How are you today? Like, people don't really talk like that in the normal world. But like something I noticed with you, Luis, like you just did this like minor role play, if you will, and you did exactly what we were just talking about, where you use the same words, you have a great pace, but your tone is just slightly more professional, right? You got just a little bit more serious, but everything else about you is authentic. Like that was just the perfect example. I'm so happy you just did that.
I love how you can point those things out because I was just like, what I do? But it's because it comes so natural.
Blacked out. What happened?
It comes natural to us, right? So it's like you can pinpoint something that to me, I'm just walking and chewing gum. Like, it's what are you talking about? What's so special about that? And that's what we want to open everyone's eye to. There's nothing special to that. It's just confidence, massive action, constant repetition. I can't tell you how many times I call Mike and I tell him like, dude, I suck because I didn't get a sell today. He's like, dude, you're a top producer. How much you do for the month? 38K. Right. Shut up. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Woe is me. Poor me, making tens of thousands of dollars every month, working from home.
It can never be enough, right? That's not true. That's going to be some mindset that we're going to talk about because it's not that whether it can be or can't be enough. It's about looking at where you're coming from and the steps that you're taking to where you are, and eventually the steps you need to take to where you're going to be, right? So you're not going to measure from point A to the finish line without having to go through the whole trajectory.
You know,
But
I got to cut you off on that, Luis, because I heard something that one of my coaches talks about that is so you're talking about going from A to Z and like the importance of that, right? And a lot of times people will come in and they see you and they see, you know, Miranda Peters and Ken Joslin and Brandon Hall, and they see these top producers and they're like, how are they doing, you know, 40, 50, 60, $80,000 a month? I want to be doing that.
yeah,
And one of the things that I will tell you guys is don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20.
yes,
These guys have been doing this a long time. They went through chapter 1, 2, 3 to work themselves up to chapter 20 where they are now. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. It's not the same.
I love it, man. Spot on, right? Spot on. You have to go through the trials and tribulations because they all teach you a lesson. But it's just about like, how well do you learn, right? I always talk about bumping into that same wall. Like, I'm notorious for that. Like, I try to get off the same exit that's not there on 95, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I forgot it's coming up, right? It's learn from your mistakes. But that's when I'm not paying attention to things. Right now, when I'm working, I'm focused. I want to make sure that we are able to. So the tonality, we're setting it from the very get-go. Like what Mike and I just went over, it's literally the introduction to scheduling an appointment. So straightforward, so into it. So now they're going to respond to you with whatever energy they have. Some people are going to say, hey, I'm doing great, man. How are you? You asked me how I'm doing? Wow, thank you. Right? Some people are going to say, man, I'm just waking up. The hell do you want? You know? Or if you're calling a B, C, D lead that have been getting work, they could be like, what are you selling? Why are you calling me? Right?
You know, can I comment on that real quick though?
I
Because
want
I
you.
think this is, you want to talk about sales 101. I don't know that there is anything that we can do that is more important than being present on a phone call. Don't have your social media open. Don't be typing an email, texting people. Be present with the person with whom you're speaking. Because just like you said, if they respond with a, you know, I'm doing great. How are you? You know, you'd be like, thank you for asking, man. I appreciate that. No one ever asked me that. You know, I'm doing pretty well, right?
Do you
Someone
say
could
that?
say, huh?
Do you say that when they ask you?
Absolutely. If someone asks me back, I always say, you know, no one ever asked me that. Thank you so much for asking. And
Yep.
like, of course, you know, makes them feel good. They're like, I'm a good person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other people will respond with like, oh man, today sucks. You know, I'm having, what's up? I'm tired. Right. And if you're not present and you're just going through the motions, right. And they're like, I'm tired. You're like, okay, that's good. So anyway, here's why I'm calling. And they're like, what do you mean that's good? Just told you I'm having a horrible day. Right. So being present so you can engage in the conversation with these people is going to take you further than a lot of the other skills that you'll need.
Yeah, 100%. So on that same subject, let me ask you, how do you approach it? So I already know what you're going to say. If I say, hey, I'm having a great day, man, or I'm saying I'm good, how are you? You can say, hey, thank you for asking. Appreciate that, And I do the same thing. I'm like, hey, man, first person to ask me today. Appreciate you for that. Let me tell you why I'm calling you. Right. And you kind of just get right into it. But when someone gives you a little bit of that doom and gloom, like, okay, what do you want? Where do you go there?
So there's two things I'm going to do. First, I'm going to mirror them a little bit. So I'm going to bring my energy down, right? Because I like you, man, we got energy for days, right?
Yes.
So if someone's like, oh man, I am exhausted, you're waking me up, what's up? I'm going to take it from like, hey, how's it going? I'm going to be like, yeah, man, I get that, but don't worry, there's still plenty of day ahead to turn it around. Anyway, here's the reason that I'm calling,
You
right?
just woke me up. There's plenty of things running around.
There is, right? If they're like, I'm having a bad morning, or if I don't feel well or something, man, I'm sorry to hear that, but there's still plenty of day to turn it around here. Anyway, here's why I'm calling. But you can hear how my tonality is changing to mirror theirs, right? So I'm not still talking up here, like a little bit faster pace, a little bit higher energy. I'm now going to bring it down here, slow it down and match what they're giving me, because it's going to make them relate to me more. And also, if I'm high energy and they're down here, they're going to be like, I do not want to talk to this dude. That's too much for me.
Yes. Or they'll just no-show you.
Right.
They might just go through with it, and you'll be like, I can barely get through that energy this guy had this morning. He probably had so much more coffee by now. I don't want to talk to him, so no show.
Exactly.
So these are the tricks. These are the tips that are going to help you get more shows, right? And I guess we can go into that a little bit too. But yeah, completely match that energy. I like to say, if they're tired, I could be like, man, I am beat too. Let me get through this pretty quickly for you so I can get you off the phone.
Right.
Okay,
Meanwhile,
what's
you've
up?
had like 4 cups of coffee and sent your kids out the door already.
Yes, it's 5. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm
Right?
exhausted. I've only been up for 6 hours already.
Yeah, man. But everyone's different schedules,
Yeah.
like we talked to so many firefighters or nurses, or I talked to a coal miner the other day. First coal miner I speak to,
Cool.
and I was just asking about his job while I'm filling out the application and all that. But
Yeah.
it's cool because we get to experience people from all over the country because we get to do this literally nationwide. And so it's pretty cool. And so we're setting the pace, we're setting the tone. We want to make sure that we match their energy. What are the 3 things that you always touch on to almost make sure that they're going to show up for your appointment?
So I'm going to reiterate the time that we set the appointment for 3 times minimum before we hang up. First and foremost, I'm going to make sure that I know what number, excuse me, what number that I can reach them on at the time of the appointment. And I'm going to make sure they have my name and phone number that I'll be calling from at that time. Right. So those are my 3 things. What are yours?
I follow your steps in that one. I've been implementing that as much as possible. All right, listen, I have some availability. I'm still going back and forth on how I like to schedule my availability, and let's see how you do this. Right now, I'm trying to go either 1 to 6 or 2 to 7, depending of where I'm working. If I'm doing
Sure.
Central Time, my schedule allows it. I'll do 2 to 7. If I'm doing East Coast, I'll try to keep it 2 to 6 or 1 to 6. So, with that said, it's so imperative that we get the earlier hours booked as quickly as possible because it's always going to be easier to book the later ones, and you want to leave the later spots for those people that are getting off work, right? So I'll say, like, listen, I'm going to be in the office between 1 and 6 today. Would you be available between 1 and 2 so I can call you?
Yeah.
Right? They could be like, oh, no way. I'm going to be available at 4:30. Fine. I'm going to give you somewhere around the 4:30, 5 o'clock time frame. But I'm at least going to give the indication or the direction of where I want you to book so it fills up my calendar faster. And ever since I've been going about it that way, I'm able to get my morning appointments kind of filled in quicker.
Yeah.
How do you go about
That's
filling
really
them?
good. There's another layer to that I don't know if you even realize you're doing. I'm sure you do, but like that also makes you seem very busy, right? Where you're proposing like, hey, can you do it at this time? Because I got other families I'm taking care of today and I got limited availability. Again, Jeremy Minor, right? You're raising your status. I'm busy, right? People want to work with me. Like I use this analogy a lot, but you're not going to want to buy a house from a real estate agent who sells 1 house a year. Right. You want to work with the best. You want to work with busy people who are experts. So you doing that kind of proposing, can you do it at this time or this time? That then allows you to be positioned as like, someone who's busy and are working with a lot of people. Now, I have a different technique for filling up my early afternoon than you do. What I do is I call retirement age people first. So when
Oh,
I get
wow.
my leads, I'll organize them by age in terms of the age of the person, right? So because I know that typically retirement age people are not working, so they should be available in the early afternoons, right? So anyone really like
65 up?
exactly. So I'll call 65 to 89. I'll call those people first, right? Because they're going to have more flexibility in their day. So if they're like, I'm home all day, what time works best for you? I'm like, cool. You don't have any appointments. You're not running errands. You got nothing going on today, no meetings or anything. Like, nope, I'm home all day. And I'm like, cool. Well, can I call you at 1 o'clock? Is that okay? And then I go into my tie down, right? So I'm able to fill up my 1 to 3:30, 1 to 4 time slots first because the retirement age people have more flexibility in their day. And then when
And
I
so
call
important,
the
right?
working age people, 25 to 55 or whatever, those people typically, like you just said, they need later in the day because they're working. And, there's some people that work like overnight shifts, so they're available 2 to 4. But most of the people who are working your normal 9 to 5 jobs are like, I can call you at, 4, 4:35, 5:30. That's the time slots they normally prefer.
Perfect, man. It's so spot on, right? And look at that. That's another tip, another trick right there that you can go ahead and say, hey, let me go ahead and sort my leads by age.
Mhm.
I've been doing it by stages because sometimes I'll have to have some leads in the east and sometimes
Of course.
in central time zone. So I go by that a little bit more, but I could see how that's very helpful. Now, one thing that you guys might not know is that when Mike books, he likes to do 2 appointments every half an hour, right? So he's double booking every single appointment, no matter what. And if he's working 1 to 6, that's a 5-hour time frame. In 5 hours, you're technically putting 4 appointments in. You're looking for 20. I've realized after working my schedule that I might not be as quickly going through my calls. So I want to kind of come down to maybe 15 to 18, but it's still a good amount, you know, that
Oh
way
my
if they
gosh.
don't show, it's a lot. Like you really are so dialed in when you have 20 appointments and that 5 hour time frame, you better make sure you've used the bathroom. You better make sure that you already ate and you're full and ready to go so that you can give those people your all without having to worry about your mind going somewhere else
Right.
because you're gonna go back to back to back to back to back.
Yep.
You know,
And it's
it's
it's important too. I'm sorry to cut you off, Luis, but it's important too because think about mindset, right? If you're talking about mindset, if you have 20 appointments, two every half hour, you are begging that someone doesn't show up so that you can get caught up on your day, right?
yeah,
You're praying. Now, look, if you're behind and people are showing up, that's great because you're probably helping families and selling policies. So it's a win either way. But if you're begging for someone not to show, then they don't show and you're like, oh my, thank God, like now I can be caught up. Whereas the alternative is you don't have enough appointments in your day and someone doesn't show up and you're like, oh man, my whole day's shot. Like I'm not going to hit my goals now. Like that messes up your mindset. Think about the difference there, right? Begging for someone not to show so you can get caught up because you have too many appointments versus not having enough appointments. Someone doesn't show up and your whole afternoon is shot. And now you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs for a half hour, an hour, trying to figure out what to do. Your momentum's gone. You get out of the flow of work. Like I try to stay out of my head, man. It's a bad neighborhood. I want to stay busy.
you want to stay busy. Forget the white space, right?
That's right.
Luckily, there's always something to do, especially if you're building or growing or putting the social media like Mike and I are doing. There's always something to do, but
Yeah.
during income earning time, you want to be doing income earning activities because at the end of the day, that's going to fuel your fire, right?
How are you doing that, Luis? I mean, you're packing in 15 to 18 appointments a day. Like if you're not booking two every half hour, how are you doing that?
It's too much. I'm doing too much, right? It's crazy. It's just it's back to back to back, right? So if I have a little white space, I try to fill it in with something else. We have been bringing agents on lately, so any
Mhm.
white space that I have available, as soon as I'm done setting my appointments, I'll say, hey, I have this time from this time. Unless my appointments are late or I'm running behind, I'm gonna look out for my call, and this is when I do my recruiting calls or be able to touch base with an agent to go over anything. Or that's when I'm putting up some of the shorts and some of the videos that you guys might be seeing out there and just editing them, and it'll take me 15, 20 minutes per video to just edit them. And then it's all about scheduling. I could literally take 4 hours and do massive focus on just social media. And with the calendar, the tool that I use, I can just schedule it out the whole week and have 2 to 3 different posts go out so that everything is preset, right? Like today's Tuesday, we're recording this. This video is probably going to go live Thursday, Friday, as soon as we can. And then you want some of the extra footage to also go along with it. And
Right.
it's slowly building. Like we've only been doing it for 7 weeks, man. And out of that, we're already getting great traction. People love like the comments that I hear when I talk to people. They're like, "Hey, MP Bros, man, thank you so much for having that." It's cool. It's no ego, nothing like that, but it's just it's cool to know that we're affecting and impacting, not affecting, impacting other people, and that we're able to make a slight little difference in their life into maybe getting better at what we feel we're good and give back to and on,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, but no, I mean, look, it's fun and it's important. I mean, again, this is not about us. Like we could be doing a lot of other things with the time that we spend here, but I think so many people have poured into both of us to help us achieve what we've been able to achieve and are continuing to try to achieve that at least I can speak for both of us. I think it's only fair that we give that back to other people. Like karma's real, man. And if people are going to pour into me, I want to pay that forward because I know selfishly that will come back. And I want to kind of get back on track here as it relates to like the stuff we're talking about, tips, tricks, and techniques. But do you have anything else in terms of like next on that list here?
Well, I did want to add on to what we're just talking about because I think we just struck a very important point, right?
Mm,
We talk about like so many people have poured into us, and now it's our opportunity to pour into others. I I can like people are just coming to my head right now of all these conversations that I've had in the past with top producers through all these different industries, and me being a top producer half of that time, right? But it was just mainly about how is it that I'm sitting here having a conversation with Michael Waranch? How is it that I'm interviewing Miranda Peters? How is it that I'm talking to the number one producer from such and such company? It's because I take the effort and I make it happen. So for you that is saying, what can I do? Brandon Hall, the number one producer in our company, right? He always says, if you don't reach out, I'm not going to reach out to you and say, hey, how come you're not doing good? I'm not going to be the one that's going to come and pick you up when you're not going, when you might be going through something or having a sales slump. But if you said, hey, Brandon, I'm going through a sales slump. Can you help me figure out what I can change? He will wholeheartedly put it in his calendar, give you some time, and give you some quotes and some tips to be able to help you out with that. But the biggest point that I'm trying to say is that it's going to be on you to reach out and make that change happen. Right?
I've been there, man. I've had those slumps where I've reached out to Brandon or to Chris or to Grayson. What'd you say?
Oh, you frozen me. Say it again, Mike.
I was saying that I've gone through those slumps where I've reached out to Brandon or to Chris or Grayson, and it's amazing because like we have to take ownership and accountability for our own businesses and our own success. You know what I mean? No one else is responsible for you hitting your goals but you. But you have people to lean on.
Why is this happening? This has never happened to us before.
You're frozen? You're not frozen from my end.
You're freezing on me a little bit.
Oh,
I wonder if the video is still recording and going through perfectly.
It looks like it from my end. It looks good. It looks good from my end.
Okay, perfect. So maybe I'm just
regardless. So anyway, I was saying that I've gone through these slumps where I've had to reach out to people, Brandon and Chris and Grayson, to lean on them for support when I'm struggling. And it's on us, right? We take ownership and accountability for our own successes. We need to be the ones that are responsible for hitting our goals. And it's amazing because the people you reach out to, and here in particular, this is all I can really speak to, but at Unitrust, when you reach out to the people who you are trying to emulate their success, they will give you as much time as you need. And it's a very, very special feeling. Like for me to constantly be chasing Brandon Hall, who is the number one simplified issue insurance producer in the country, to be able to have a conversation with him about, hey, here's how I'm struggling. What do you suggest? And him to talk to me for 30, 45, 60 minutes to help me achieve what I'm trying to achieve. That is, immeasurable for the impact that has. We're very, very lucky. I know you're the same way, right? You have agents on your team, even agents that are not on your team, that will reach out to you that you have no financial benefit from. You're not invested in them for any reason, but they call and they say, Luis, I see you doing what you're doing. I'm struggling to do it. Can you help me? And I know 10 times out of 10, you're like, what do you need from me?
All day long, right? All day long.
It's special.
And it's so cool that it's such a not a simple solution, but like there's a math to this, right? At the end of the day, great. Let's go ahead and back up. Let's go. First of all, your schedule. Do you have your time set out so that you can do income earning activities and be able to go to work, right? What does that look like for you? Okay, I see a problem there. I see a problem there. Life is life, but you got to figure out a way to be able to block out your time, to be able to give yourself that bigger chance of succeeding, especially at first.
Yep.
From there, your lead flow. How many leads are you buying? What are you able to afford? How much are you reinvesting into yourself? You got to keep fueling the fire. If you don't have that wood to put into the fire, it's eventually going to die out, right? So that's going to be how we're fueling it. That's how we're going to be gassing it up. So you got to have your lead flow game and your lead flow strategy down packed for you to be able to succeed. Then from there, it gets easy from there. From there, it's just how well can you go ahead and pass the script on that you're sounding confident to the person on the other line and get those nerves out of you because you're just talking to another person, right? Like how easily can you get that? So those are the first three things I always focus on: schedule, lead flow, and then script.
Yep.
Right? Products.
Well, it's huge because, and one of the things that you've talked about a couple of times that I don't think we've really taken the time to even really hit on is that confidence factor. You know what I mean? Like that to me could be the most important thing. Like if you sound confident, they will be confident in you. That's really all it takes. It's nothing. Are you frozen again? You're back. You're back. So yeah, confidence to me is 80% of the battle. And the beauty of it is that we can all read. We know how to read a script. So if you can just make it sound like you're the expert from reading the script until you actually become the expert, that's all you're going to need to be successful off the bat. The rest of the stuff comes easy.
Okay. I hope I didn't cut off, man. You blanked out on me. I'm sorry, guys. Having some technical difficulties for whatever reason, but we're going to get through these here. Confidence is what we're talking about, right?
Yep.
Mike, how many times have you called somebody that has told you, oh, yeah, hey, I just took care of this last week? What's normally your response to that?
So it depends, right? And I'll say you took care of what, right? Because a lot of times they'll think, a lot of people will confuse homeowners insurance for mortgage protection insurance, right? I took care of this last week. Okay. When you say you took care of it, what exactly do you mean? What did you take care of? I'm like, oh, well, this is the homeowner's insurance or the home warranty or something like that. I'm like, oh, no, it's like common confusion. That's not what we're talking about. I'm actually calling to talk to you about the mortgage protection. Oh, okay. Another time, other times they'll say, I just spoke to someone about the mortgage protection last week. I'll say, okay, what was the result? Like, what do you want me to put in the system as your reason for declining that coverage? I literally sold a policy to a guy this morning who said to me, I talked to someone about this 2 weeks ago and I just haven't sat down and done my budget yet. And I was like, okay, well, like respectfully, man, it's been 2 weeks. And like in my experiences, like if you're not on the phone with someone talking about this, it's not top of mind. So like, what's preventing you from sitting down and doing the budget? And he was like, honestly, man, it's not really that I don't know what my budget is. It's that the guy told me it was going to cost me $300 to $400 a month. And I was like, $300 to $400 a month? Who did you talk to? It should be nothing like that. And ended up selling the guy a policy that was $86 a month.
Look at that.
So it's kind of digging a little bit deeper, right? That question though, that rebuttal, when someone says, I already spoke to someone, I'm not interested. 10 times out of 10, my response is, totally understand. What do you want me to put in the system as your reason for declining the coverage? They will tell you everything. And some people be like, put whatever you want. I don't care. I'm like, all right, cool. Talk to you later.
I just don't want it. What I am not interested. Done. Right. Okay, no problem. You can only help the people that let you help, right?
But some people will tell you exactly why they didn't get it. The guy was mean. He didn't explain it well. He hung up on me when I gave him a little pushback. He told me it was going to be $400 a month. Like these are all things that we can work with now to get a little information. Instead of them just saying, I talked to someone, you say, okay, great. Let me know if you change your mind. I'm here to help. Bye.
Right. And I'm bringing this up because of confidence. It comes because you're confident in your abilities of being able to do better. And no disrespect to any new agents or any other experienced agents out there. I just believe in myself that much that when I talk to anybody and they tell me, hey, I already took care of this, I'll say, great. Just to clarify, when you say take care of this, are you referring to mortgage protection insurance? That if you pass away, the house gets taken care of for you and your family? Yeah, exactly. Not a problem. Like I say, listen, for whatever reason, it's not showing in my system that you've taken care of it. That probably means that you got it from somebody in a different company, which is okay. There's a couple of different companies that do offer this. What I found when I talk to people is that not every time have they gotten what's best available for them. Now, I'm only saying that because I've been here for about 6 years, and whenever I have this conversation, like 70% of the times, I'm able to help somebody. What I want to do for you is just spend 10 minutes on the phone. We're going to review what was given to you. I'm going to review what you qualify for and what else is available. There's only going to be 2 outcomes. Outcome 1, I verify that what they gave you is the best thing for you. You got some validation. You got a good policy. Good job. I'm going to go help somebody else. Second thing that could happen is I propose to you something that's going to either save you money or put your family in a better position. So no matter how you look at it, it's going to be a win-win. Do you want me to call you between 2 and 3, or do you want me to call you between 4 and 5?
Who's saying no to that? No one is saying no to that. That is just so phenomenal. That's so good. I hope you guys wrote that down. Replay it and write it down.
I was saving her $30 a month or increasing her policy by $15,000, and she's like, no. I'm going to keep
I would rather
Waranch did a great job giving me this policy.
But I had a situation like that this morning as well. I talked to the guy this morning. He did not get a policy from me, but we spoke yesterday, and he's like, I already have, his mortgage was for $390,000, and he was 69 years old. And he says, I have a policy in place from a company that I've had that covers the total balance of the mortgage for me and my wife. And it's like, $90 a month. And I said, sir, you respectfully, you're telling me that you have two people covered for $390,000 for $90 a month, and you guys are in your late 60s? And he said, yeah. I said, I got to be honest with you, sir. That does not sound right to me. I would really look into that. He says, I know it covers the total balance of the mortgage. So like when I pay the mortgage off, or I'm sorry, when I die, whatever's left of the mortgage will be paid off. And I was like, it doesn't work like that, sir. It's not based off of what your mortgage amount is. It is a face amount. So whether your mortgage changes or not, you're going to get the same death benefit. So I would really look into that, because I'll be shocked if that's covering the total balance of your mortgage. And the guy calls me back, and I said, you should call the company and just double check. Just, if you don't tell me anything, just double check, make sure you got what you think you got. So he calls the company. He calls me back 20 minutes later. He's like, you were right. I actually only have $115,000 in coverage. So let's talk tomorrow, which was now today, and let's get the rest of the policy covered. Now, I couldn't get the rest of the policy covered for him because he's 69. He had a liver transplant. Like, can't get him an additional $300,000 in coverage. Just wasn't realistic. However, the credibility that gave me, and the way that just made me feel, to help someone identify, like, there's someone from another company that sold you a policy and you're not aware of what you bought. So like, just regardless of whether or not you get anything from me, I just want to make sure that you're aware of your coverage so you can make the best decision for you and your family, like doing it the right way, right? Because like you're saying, there's a lot of companies that do this. So if we can help them identify, like, hey, you don't have what you thought you have, or you are eligible for much less expensive coverage, like, you're helping everybody win.
Dude, I'm laughing right now because I can't tell you how many times I come across, like, dude, I have $150,000 whole life policy for, great. How much are you paying for that? $75 a month. No, you're not. Come on, man. Listen, again, right? Respectfully.
Right.
I hope you have that. Like, I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, I really want you to be able to have that. But I'm just talking to you from 6 years of experience and doing this and coming across it so many different times. It's more likely than not what you think it is.
You don't.
That's not a bad. Like, I'm never going to be able to sell that person a policy on the spot. That's the beauty about being able to sit with somebody and say, hey, go get that policy. When you're on the phone, you're limited and you're pressed for time because you have 20 appointments booked for the day, right? Like, listen, get your policy. I'm going to call you back tomorrow, or call your company, figure out exactly what it is. If it's not what you thought it was, then call me back. And I love that that's how you handle it. That's how I'm going to handle it from now on. Do me a favor, call. And if it's not exactly what you told me, just call me back so we can further discuss.
Yeah, and I did not expect the dude to call me back, but again, he appreciated that I was helping kind of put that on his radar, because nobody wants to feel like that they were deceived. And he did not have the coverage he thought. He would have died, and he thought his wife was getting the entire mortgage paid off. She was getting a third of it paid off. That's a $250,000 difference for him.
Yeah, she's going to need that money for just living,
100%.
And that's why, guys, like, what we do is not difficult. What we do should be wanted by pretty much everybody out there. And it's not that they shouldn't want it. It's just maybe they're not comfortable buying it over the phone. Maybe they're not comfortable with the budget. Maybe they're just not comfortable with it. But there's literally no reason why you would talk to somebody that you say, hey, would you like your house paid off for your family if you pass away? Then they should literally say no. Every now and then you'll have those 1%ers, right?
Yeah, I love those dudes. I don't care what happens to them after I die. That's their problem. I'm like, oh, all right. Good talking to you.
Paid off for my kids? F my kids. I was like,
forget them.
Okay.
Took care of them long enough.
Never mind. So you do come across that. And then, again, you can't help the people who are not going to let you help them, So, like, chuck it off for a loss and move on to the next. Because if you present it right, and that's all we're trying to tell you guys, like, have confidence in what you're talking about in the presentation, because this product just makes too much sense. I think it was you, Mike, that told me, maybe it was Chris Photo, that he was just like, the way that you can explain how we offer this product is you're walking into Costco. You're here to buy toilet paper for the next 3 months, right? And you walk up to this little sample size thing, and they're like, hey, here, try this out. Next thing you know, you're trying it, and you're like, wow. So then you're buying the chips, you're buying the meat, you're buying the sauce, you're buying this, and you're walking out with so much more than what you came here for. All we're telling you is just like, hey, listen to us, because this makes sense. And if you like what you taste, then go ahead and cover yourself with a policy.
100%.
That's it. It's that simple. So now, how many more people can I get in front of to say, hey, try my dip?
Nice. But something that I want to hit on with the confidence thing again is, it can be hard to have confidence when you're talking about something that you are not confident in, when you're new, right? When you don't know about the carrier information, when you don't know about the ability to tell someone that's probably not the right price for that covers. Like, it can be intimidating to have confidence. But that's the beauty of the system here, right? Is we have a script that works. It really works. And so if you can just read it, then you can sound like the expert before you actually become one. You just have to be, and look, if you guys are watching this, you can read. All right. I'm just gonna say it like we can all read. Okay. So if you can read it, not sound robotic, you will sound like the expert, and people will be able to trust your ability to help them protect their families. So you can fake it till you make it, but you have to stay true to the systems and be authentic.
Be authentic, man. That's awesome. We've again, dude, every single time, like we drop so many things that are just so awesome for this industry, right? And such great tips are being passed on that I hope everyone's watching this videos full out and full through. Like, I get it, might be 40 minutes of your day that you may just want to put aside, but like, if you're hopping in the treadmill, instead of listening to Beyonce and her new country album, throw this on and learn something, right? I had no idea she had a country album.
Yeah, my daughter made me very aware of that.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the things that we got. I think that we can just literally keep going because, like, so far we set the appointment, we spoke about tonality, we've gotten into the confidence that you need to have. We really haven't even gone through the appointment,
right?
And so, should we hit them with like, you better watch next week because next
little
week
teaser,
the appointment.
A little teaser for next week of how to run and structure a successful appointment.
I love that. That's done. Chalk it up, put it on the board. How to run and structure a successful appointment. Awesome, Mike, dude. Thank you so much once again. Love doing this with you every single week. I hope you keep killing it out there. I don't even hope. I know you're gonna keep killing it, Mike. I think he had 2 cells this morning when he woke up. He was like, "Hey, look at that."
Hey, if the appointments are there and you run them, man, you can't miss. We got too much here to offer. It makes it very, very simple.
I love that. Awesome, guys. Again, comment, like, subscribe, share this with somebody. Or if you watch this and maybe it's not for you, but you know a person like, hey, you know what? I've been seeing these videos about what mortgage protection life insurance has done for some people that are in the industry. And this person is really just trying to find their way, sharp guy, gal that's just looking to find their way. This might be the right avenue. And just like we had Maria making $392,000 a year at 23 years old, maybe you can help shift or shape the future for somebody that you know.
And keep in mind, email addresses are right here. Use us, man. We are easy to access. Don't feel weird about it. Again, we want to help people. Reach out.
Yes, please. With that note, peace out. Episode 7, it's a wrap. Later, y'all.
With the MP Bros, the MP Bros, the MP Bros, the MP Bros. Learn something.